Hey guys, welcome to Myers Guys Garage. Today we're going to be working on the old C10 here. We've had it started a few times before, drove it around a little when we first got it, and it's got some issues, and we're going to show you what a really bad vacuum leak looks like, right? And then we're going to do a couple other things. Hopefully the sun's kind of going down, we don't have a whole lot of time, but we'll work on as much as we can today and try to get this thing started. And what else are we going to do? Shocks, wheel bearings, what else? Anything else?
I feel like there's one more thing.
Probably some other stuff. We'll figure it out. We'll let you in on it. All right? Okay, let's get started. Okay. All right, we got the thing started, and as you guys can tell, this thing runs. It runs, but it just runs like crap. You can tell it's got a mess. The engine is just shaking like crazy. And my boy and I, Easton, this is Easton, say hello Easton.
Hello.
We did a tune-up on this thing a while back. We put new plugs and wires in it and checked the coil, and I rebuilt the carburetor when I first bought this thing, and we put headers on it and exhaust and all that stuff, and it still just kind of ran like crap. And I thought that it would run better after we did the plugs and wires, because the plugs were just like completely fouled out, you know, like remember they're all black and they just look terrible. So we put new plugs in it, and it didn't really help. I tuned the carburetor about as best as I could to get it to this point where it'll run pretty good, and now you can tell it just like it shakes like crazy, and there's an obvious miss, and it runs like crap. So I was kind of messing around with it one day, and I thought, well, if I got the carb tuned really fat and it still runs awful, then it's got to have a vacuum leak somewhere. And I want to show you guys just how bad this is. There's a leak right down there in the manifold, and if I spray it, hear that change? It's just about to die. Now it's kind of coming back up a little bit.
And then if you spray it again, will it die?
If I keep spraying it, yeah, like I got the thing tuned so rich now that if I keep spraying the heck out of it, right there, see that? You hear that? It just about dies. You can. It just wants to die. So you can almost see it. See where all the ether is down there? How it's kind of bubbling around. The engine is just like sucking it in. So this thing needs manifold gaskets really bad. So I think that's going to be our first step. Unfortunately, that means we got to tear this whole entire thing apart and put gaskets on it. And the sun's getting pretty low. We don't have a whole lot of time left, so we'll figure it out if we're going to do that tonight yet. If not, we'll do it tomorrow. So stay tuned. We'll figure it out. All right, we got the intake off. I think we're going to, I'm not sure what we're going to do. We're probably just going to clean the intake up and make it work. Those gaskets didn't look too bad, but I'm going to show you the problem that I think we had. So these, the heads on this engine, this is just a 350. The heads are, they have these center bolt valve covers. When I was first looking at this thing, I thought they might be Vortec heads, but they're definitely not, because they don't have the little, that little, here, I'll show you what, hang on. This guy, I put Vortec heads on this thing. It has that weird little humpy thing with the recess there. So those are Vortec heads on this. This is also just a GM Goodwrench 350. So these are not, these are, I'm pretty sure these are just like TBI 350 truck heads out of like 87 to 95 Chevy pickup, and the engine might be as well. I really don't know. I know that it's a I'm pretty sure it's a 350. I never even decoded this thing, but it runs and feels like one, and it has these heads on it. I wouldn't think that it was a 305, but it could be. I don't know. Anyways, this thing has this Edelbrock Performer intake on it, and if you look right there and right there, and it's the same on the other side, those bolt holes have been like cut out. And when we took those bolts out, they had these little kind of like wedge shaped washers. I thought they were like those wedge shaped spacers that you use for like some of these intakes if you wanted to put I don't even know, like some special intake on stock heads, or a stock intake on special heads, or something like that, and the bolt holes don't line up. You can buy those, like if the bolts go straight down, you can buy those little washers, or the opposite of that, I don't even know. But anyways, those middle bolt holes, they go like straight down almost into the head, and these guys are like angled. They're, you know, perpendicular to this surface. Those guys go kind of more or less straight down. So maybe I'm wrong. If you guys know what heads these are, you know, please put it in the comments, because I really have no clue. But I'm thinking that they're TBI truck heads. So this intake is not a TBI intake. It's just a regular old Edelbrock Performer intake that the previous owner notched and made those little spacers just out of some nuts to try to get this thing to seal up, and it really isn't sealing very well, as I showed you earlier with all those crazy vacuum leaks. So I think, for the sake of time, I mean, I could go to the junkyard and like get some Vortec heads or something and put them on, and it would be way better, but then I'm gonna have to do a whole bunch of work to recondition those heads, and then, you know, set valves, make sure I don't have any bent push rod, you know, all that stuff. That's just a ton of work. I don't think anything is wrong in here. It seems to run okay other than this issue. But I just don't really want to, put that time and money and effort into this thing right now. I kind of want to just get it running well enough to, you know, drive it a little and enjoy it, and, you know, figure out all the rest of the stuff that I need to do with it. I got some tires for it. We just got those wheels painted up. We're going to take those in and put the put the tires on them tomorrow. I kind of want to just get this thing, you know, running and sealed up well enough so we can start it and drive it and just have fun with it. And then maybe alongside down the road, when this intake starts to leak again, we can get a new intake so we don't have to worry about these things that are chewed off, and some better heads for it or something. So I think that's what we'll do. We're kind of running out of time tonight, though. The sun is already, well, it's behind that house. We got about a half an hour of daylight left, I think. So I think we're just going to get everything cleaned up here, get that intake cleaned up, get all the nuts and bolts and stuff cleaned up, and put the tools away, and then we're gonna go eat some dinner and watch a movie and relax, and then we'll be back at it bright and early in the morning. So we'll see you then. Hey guys, welcome back. It's the next day. We're still working on this thing. I did a little research. I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning last night and couldn't go back to sleep, and I was thinking about this thing and trying to figure out what those heads are from and how this whole thing is going to work. So the previous owner that put that intake on these heads, they are in fact TBI truck heads. I did look that up and found that those middle 2 bolts, they go straight down on the TBI heads. And those spacers you can buy. The guy that had this thing before me, he just like ground some nuts down. So I suppose we'll just reuse them. I mean, see if they work. And I kind of got to thinking that intake, let me, I guess I'll grab it here. Easton, can you grab grab the carburetor? It's on the floor right there. So, making a mess here. This intake is a spread bore. This carburetor is leaking all over the place. Is a square bore. Why don't you go grab a towel, bud? Probably should have emptied that before I did that, but it is what it is. We'll clean it up. And I was looking at this intake, and it looks like it should seal, like it sits all the way out on the edge on this, but maybe there was a leak there. And also, this carburetor, I was kind of spraying it on, I guess it would be this side, on the passenger side. And there's a little bit of movement on these shafts. And I don't know if that would be enough to cause like that big of a vacuum leak that would cause it to run not so well. I don't know. I do have a quadrajet carburetor that it's a spread bore, you know, with the smaller primaries and bigger secondaries that'll fit probably a little bit better on this. And I think I have a thicker gasket in there somewhere too that would probably work a little bit better than this one. So we'll get this thing cleaned up and get that gasket replaced, get all that stuff cleaned up and get it all put back together, and I guess we'll just see how it runs, right? Yep, thank you. Okay. Give us a clap. Okay. We got updates. I worked after little man had to leave here. I worked into the night last time, because I guess it was like a week ago now. I put that Edelbrock carburetor back on it after we got the new gaskets and everything together. And I got it started and it ran it ran okay, but it still had some of the issues that I'd been having with it. And this was just a fight to get this thing running right. So I started spraying around the throttle shafts, and that's what was really making that thing pull so much air. I would spray some ether on the throttle shaft and it would just completely die. And I even took this thing. This is a little black plastic cover that you get when you buy a Holley carburetor. And while the thing was idling, I just dropped this thing right on top of the carburetor and it still idled. That's how bad those shafts are worn out and how much air that carburetor was pulling in through those throttle shafts. So that one is trash. I'm not, I can't use that carburetor anymore. It needs to be rebuilt, and apparently those Edelbrock carbs don't have like replaceable bushings or something. You have to have them drilled out and new bushings put in. You can't just like buy a bushing kit or something. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that. But like I said earlier, I have a quadrajet. It was sitting in a box. I rebuilt it forever ago, took the choke off. It was for a high horsepower Pontiac motor that I had in a Firebird forever ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. So I took that thing and put it on, and now it runs really good. But I put it on, got the thing idling well, and then it still had like a off idle stumble. And I thought, well, you know, this thing has those TBI truck heads in it. Maybe it's a TBI engine, and TBI engines are designed to run at 0 degrees initial timing. So I tried to get closer and closer to 0 and adjust the carburetor to try to figure out how I could get it, you know, that low, and it just didn't, it just made everything worse. So I kind of got angry and just thought to myself, well, if I can't, you know, there's no air leaks, I can hear the air going right through the carburetor, you can hear the carb just like sucking air. So I knew there weren't any external air leaks. And I thought, why in the heck, you know, maybe it needs more timing. So I just kept on increasing the timing until I got that off idle throttle response and the thing idled well after it got warmed up. So now it's warm, it idles pretty good, it has no stumble off idle, which is really important because it's a stick shift truck, so you really need that kind of off idle giddy up as soon as you hit the gas because you want to get going. And now the thing runs fantastic. And I think I was battling two things. One, the thought of a possible air leak, and two, the advanced timing. I had to advance the timing like crazy. I think it's at, it's not even close to the timing tab. I think it's at probably like 18 or 20 degrees. I could probably hook my gun up to it and twist the little knob and figure out exactly what it's at, but it's at like, yeah, 18 to 20 degrees advanced. And now it finally runs good, idles good. It's got decent power. We just took it for a spin. It doesn't have a ton of power, but I mean, it's a truck. It doesn't need much, right?
Yeah.
And it idles pretty good. So we'll start it up for you, and you can listen to her growl.
It's
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna show them that. This might be another reason why I had such a horrible time getting this thing going. Look at all that smoke coming out of the breather. So this thing's got some pretty serious blow-by. I think it's probably got a piston dying or dead somewhere. It still doesn't idle great, but it idles way better than it used to. I think this thing is possibly headed for a rebuild, but the other issue that I was fighting that kind of goes along with the advanced timing that I had to put into it, I think this thing might have a little cam in it. I don't know if you can. So I don't know if that's overlap or if I just, I don't know, don't have the timing completely set, or if it doesn't run perfect because it's starting to die or what. That's a ton of smoke coming out of there, which is pretty concerning. But there she is. And now, since we got it running and driving good enough to start it and have fun with it, I did get the tires and wheels put on this thing, and look at that.
so cool.
Man, it just looks great, doesn't it? Got the Cooper Cobras. Those are the wheels that came on the truck. I just, you know, sent them off to powder coating, you know, just like the Vice Grip Garage guy does. You know, put a little Rust-Oleum on them, and they look freaking fantastic. I just got those cheap center caps off of Amazon. They're only like 20 bucks. But man, I love this truck. It really needs rust repair. The rust is really bad. The floors, rockers, fenders, cab corners, all need rust repair. But it don't look too bad. It's kind of got like the rat rod truck vibe with all this, you know, couple layers of paint. This this light kind of robin's egg blue, kind of sky blue color. I think that's the original color. You can see it around the gas cap right there. The bed's gone. That was one of the first things Easton and I did when we got this thing. We ripped all the old rotten wood out of the bed. So that's one thing that I think we're gonna do. I don't know, I wanted to, you know, do the rust repair and paint this thing blue and fix the bed up and all that stuff, but I mean, now it's kind of, I don't even know, like, it's a cool truck and it runs and drives and everything is fine. I might just kind of skip the rust repair and maybe put a bed in it and drive it, have fun with it. But I'm open to suggestions. What do you guys think? What do you think? What do you want to do with it?
I want to keep it and drive to high school.
You just want to drive it the way it is, or you want to keep fixing it up? You want to do rust repair on the body and paint it blue, or just leave it the way it is? Maybe we can sand some more of that red off and get some more blue coming through to make it look cooler, and just leave it the way it is. Put some shine juice on it or something. I don't know, whatever you viewers think, let us know. All right, well, I think that's it for now. We still got to do a whole bunch of other stuff, shocks and bearings for the front. I got like a door lock set for it. I don't have the door key for it, so I've never been able to lock it, but I got a door lock set for it, and just some other kind of miscellaneous little things. But the biggest thing I wanted to get done was that the intake gaskets, and get this thing running and driving reliably so we can just start it up and cruise it. So we'll have this one on the fleet so we can, you know, take it to Quaker, right?
Yeah.
Thanks again for watching. Please, you know, do all that stuff, like and subscribe and hit the bell and all that good stuff. Also, my son here is an incredible artist. He has his own YouTube channel. It's called EM Productions. The thumbnail is a little piece of paper with a pencil. He does some pretty incredible drawings, so go check him out too. Subscribe. Leave any comments if you wish, and we'll see you next time.